Are you ready to become a successful person? It's a normal thing these days to conform as much as possible to a normal lifestyle without standing out too much. But if you want to be a successful person, you don't have to fall into this category. To maintain a high standard of quality in what you do, you may need a certain level of discipline. Success is not something that happens overnight, but requires quite a lot of effort. We often see a successful person and think how easy it is for that person to be successful. But unfortunately, we don't see things in depth. We only see what is on the surface. From what I figured out so far, to be a successful person, you have to work extremely hard and be willing to step out of your comfort zone, no matter what excuses you think of. If you want to be a successful person, it's all up to you. Trust me, if you want to be a successful person, no one will be able to stop you from being. Here is the list of 8 habits you need to give up to increase your productivity. 1. Don't let the past influence what you do. The past is something you cannot change. In fact, we shouldn't even want to change the past, because without it, we wouldn't have learned all the lessons we've learned so far. Otherwise, we would have ended up making the same mistakes again and again until we had learned our lesson. 2. Avoid multitasking. Multitasking is seen as a skill that only some people have. Often multitasking can even decrease productivity. It's best to focus as best you can on one thing at a time and stick to it until you finish it. 3. Don't work from your comfort zone. We often don't want to leave our comfort zone because everything is safe and much easier for us. But if you don't try to get out of your comfort zone, you won't be able to evolve as a person, and so you probably won't end up where you want to be. When you decide to step out of your comfort zone, it doesn't mean that you will experience a continuous state of anxiety. Simply put, in order to evolve and grow as an individual, you should try new things and expand your horizons. The reason we feel comfortable in our comfort zone is because we don't take any risks when we are in this state. When we live in our comfort zone, it's like living in a little circle that we keep going around in without getting anywhere. When you find yourself in a place you've never been before or try a new experience, it will expand your worldview. 4. Don't be ashamed to ask for advice. When you have an important issue to deal with and some difficult decisions to make, it's even better to talk to people in your field or people who have a broad worldview. This can make a huge difference. Asking for advice is not always easy. Sometimes we don't trust ourselves or we're afraid of how we'll be perceived, and we end up trying to work things out for ourselves. By doing this, we may be doing ourselves more harm than good, because the advice we get may be something someone else already knows how to do. 5. Don't make excuses. Making excuses can be a very easy thing to do, but also dangerous. That's because it can be much more difficult to accept the problems we have. Sometimes we even try to make excuses and start blaming others. You have to realize that there will be problems that you have to overcome and confront. The first step is to accept that there are problems in our lives, instead of trying to hide them and lying to ourselves about them. When you deny what is obviously true, you deny your potential and what you could become. 6. Don't spend time with negative people. It can be quite counterproductive to spend time around negative people. It's enough that life offers us plenty of challenges along the way. If you also surround yourself with people who most of the time focus on what's working badly, one of the biggest downsides of this is that you might start thinking the same way. To get something done and see it through to the end, you need focus and determination. Every decision you make will influence the way you think and the type of decisions you make when faced with life's challenges. 7. Don't get lost in the small details. When you get different opportunities from life, it can be quite easy to get lost in the details while putting them into practice. Sometimes we can focus so much on the details that we risk losing sight of the bigger picture. Focusing too much on the details can cause you to lose sight of how it all ties together. So much of our lives is based on the connections we have with those around us and with ourselves. If we get lost in the details, it's like trying to solve a puzzle with a few missing pieces. Doesn't it become a much more difficult task? 8. Don't hesitate to ask for feedback. Feedback is important because it gives you a different perspective on your situation. We may not see a solution that is right in front of us, but when we get feedback, we can see ourselves from another person's perspective. If you keep putting off getting feedback, you risk wasting valuable time you could have invested in changing or improving things. It's best to think from time to time about what you've done and how you could do it better.